Hello, my name is Bill Lairder, and I'm happy to welcome you to the high adventure season here at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. Tonight we're going to go over information about the 2025 Pack and Paddle program. Garden Ground Outfitters. Follow the link or scan the QR code to find custom crew gear, souvenirs, or even some of the gear on your packing list, and you can pick it up when you arrive at the summit. Tonight's agenda. So we'll give you a general overview of the Pack and Paddle program. We'll cover your participant requirements and show you where to find the program supplement to be used as your planning guide. We'll do an equipment overview, cover shakedown and physical preparation, and then we'll close out with a few frequently asked questions. So this is a great trek experience. It includes 4 days of backpacking through the SBR backcountry, rafting the Lower New River Gorge, and finishing it off by riding the Alexander Eagles Flight zipline. So we've made some great improvements for 2025 by cutting out some of the vehicle shuttles and giving your crews the freedom to adjust your route to help get the most out of your time at the summit. So there are expanded route options, different kind of side treks you can take along the way. You'll be hiking through lush Appalachian forests, exploring abandoned mining towns from the 1800s, and you'll get to raft some of the best whitewater in the country. Requirements for participation. First off, we want to make sure you get the Pack and Paddle Experience Program supplement out to all of your participants and your parents. So please rely heavily on that planning guide as you're getting ready for your trip. You'll also need your annual health record, wilderness first aid CPR certifications, BSA swim test, and your youth protection training. Every participant is required to have a medical evaluation by a licensed physician within 12 months of their participation date. So the required form and risk advisory can be found at the top link on this page. If you're concerned about meeting medical requirements like body mass index, recent surgeries, chronic health conditions, please follow the second link on this page to get into contact with our medical team. For all vital medications, whether they need to be kept cold or not, it's highly recommended that you bring twice what you would need for the duration of the trek. So one batch goes with you on the trek, and one batch stays at the health lodge at the summit in case you accidentally lose something. We'll also be able to accommodate medications that require cold storage, but you need to please let myself and the medical staff know ahead of time so we can make the proper preparations. Please let us know about medical conditions before the trek. The more our staff know ahead of time, the better the outcome for everybody. So don't forget to bring emergency meds like EpiPens, asthma inhalers, diabetic supplies, etc. Planning guides. So again, please make sure all participants and their parents have access to this. Follow the link on this page to find the Pack and Paddle Program supplement. You'll also see the 2025 Summit Program Planning Guide, which covers more general SBR program information. Additional documents like packing lists can also be found at the bottom of this page. The summit requires that at least one participant, which could be an adult or a youth, in each crew be currently certified in wilderness first aid or the equivalent, and CPR from the American Heart Association or American Red Cross or the equivalent. So we really recommend that you have 2 participants certified in wilderness first aid CPR. That way, if something happens and somebody can't make the trip, your crew is still covered. That being said, all of our guides have wilderness first aid CPR. So, in a pinch, we can cover it, but we really want you to come with 2 people that are certified. A copy of the current license or certification must be shared with the summit during the registration process. And we'll also accept advanced levels of training listed here in lieu of wilderness first aid. So if you have somebody, a doctor, registered nurse, ski patroller, wilderness first responder, military medic, we can accept that stuff. You just need to make sure you let us know ahead of time and bring copies of your certs. BSA swim test. So since there's a whitewater rafting component for this trek, all participants are required to complete the BSA swimmer's test prior to arrival. You must bring this documentation with you. If you have participants in your crew who are not classified as swimmers or who do not want to participate in rafting, they will need to wait back at base camp while the rest of the group is on the river. Please take care of this ahead of time. You are not going to be able to show up here and take your swim test the day of your trek. So get those swim tests taken care of. Okay, so for dietary restrictions, please fill out those dietary restriction forms as soon as you can. The more heads up we have, the better we can take care of you. Pack and paddle experience, there are basically two types of food, so dining hall food and trail food. With the dining hall, we have a little bit more flexibility for restrictions. But with our trail meals, those are a little bit more difficult. Currently, we are offering vegetarian options, non-dairy options, and gluten-free options. If you have more restrictions than that, you may need to bring some supplemental food with you. And we are also a non-tree nut facility. So if you have one of those allergies, we have you taken care of there. If you have any more questions about that, please reach out to us at summit.program@scouting.org. Arrival day. So you should plan to arrive at the summit between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. So you'll check in, do your medical recheck, and then head over to the Paul R. Christian National High Adventure Base Trek Camp over in Camp Alpha. So you'll meet your Trek camping coordinator, get checked into your tents, conduct your shakedown, and hold your chaplain's aid and outdoor ethics guide meetings. So dinner will then be from 5 to 6 at the dining hall there in Alpha, and evening programming may be available, but that really just depends on your arrival day. If we are not running program that evening, we'll have some other options for you, and you can talk to your Trek camp coordinator about that once you get here. Shakedown. So the final pack is going to take place during shakedown. Your gear is going to be unpacked and gone through and then repacked to eliminate any unnecessary items and extra weight. So this is our last chance to make sure you have the proper equipment and nothing more for this trip. So as a rule of thumb, your pack shouldn't weigh more than about 25 to 30% of your body weight. Any extra gear that doesn't end up going with you on trek can be stored in your vehicles or stored in a rented locker at the Scott Visitor Center. Concerning extra gear like cameras, binoculars, GPS units, etc., there are two main points to consider. First, if it's going to break your heart or your wallet to lose it, don't bring it with you. If you want to bring a nice camera along, please make sure you have the proper protective equipment as well to keep it safe and dry. Second, ounces make pounds and pounds make pain on the trail. So you want to be in the mindset of going light. The lighter the pack, the more enjoyable the trip will be. This is a chance to unplug, and I strongly encourage you to leave the tech at home or at least in your pack and live in the moment while you're out there. Of course, you want to get some pictures, but please just don't spend your time texting and checking social media while you're here. Equipment overview. Again, please refer to your planning guide for a more detailed checklist, but we're going to hit the big stuff here. We strongly suggest you label your belongings before your arrival. We'll start with what's called the big four of backpacking gear. Those are a tent, sleeping bag or quilt, backpack, and your sleeping pad. So these four items are the bulkiest, heaviest items you'll be carrying and are the foundation of your kit. So this is where you can really save some space and some weight. Your pack can be either internal or external frame with a good hip belt. Somewhere in the 60 to 70 liter capacity is where most people like to be. Don't forget a rain cover. So the New River Gorge is a wet place. So keep that stuff dry. You should have a 1 or 2 person style backpacking tent. I'm a little bit bigger guy, so I generally like a 3-person tent if I'm going to share with somebody. Many people like to go with a 2-person tent, and then the scouts can split the weight. So, I would carry the poles, you would carry the tent body and rainfly. A lot of people prefer a hammock to a tent. That's becoming more and more popular. If you're going to go that route, make sure you have slept in it enough that you can pitch it comfortably and have your rainfly and bug netting systems all figured out. I find tents to be more user-friendly for new backpackers, especially if you're not used to camping in wet conditions, but go with what you know. So it's a long trek, and it's not the best time to experiment with new gear. I've seen a lot of people over the years Their first time setting up their hammock system was while the rain was starting to come down and the sun was setting, so that can make for a miserable night. So check the waterproofing on that stuff ahead of time, whether that's putting your tent up in your backyard on a night when it's going to rain, or even running the sprinkler for a little bit. But you want to kind of troubleshoot your gear before you arrive. The 30 to 40 degree temperature range for that sleeping bag should have you covered. We're looking at temperatures on the low end at night. It could get into the 60s or even the high 50s. If you're a cold sleeper, go a little bit of a warmer bag. Use a compression sack to cut down on the bulk of your sleeping bag. That's always a good idea. As far as the sleeping pad, that's personal preference. So some people prefer a lightweight Z-foam folding style pad, while those that need more comfort and support might opt for something like an inflatable Thermarest, Neo Air, or a Nemo pad. If you're going to use an inflatable, I highly recommend you bring a small patch kit. You might pitch your tent on something that pokes a hole, and that patch kit can really save you a few nights of bad sleep. Essential gear. So everybody's going to need a headlamp with extra batteries, a small pocket knife or multi-tool, a compass, and matches or a lighter. You also need a first aid kit, and these can be shared between 2 or 3 scouts. The guides are going to have a larger group first aid kit for bigger emergencies, but you're going to want to have some moleskin for treating blisters, a couple of band-aids, just kind of a ouch kit for those smaller inconveniences, scrapes, cuts, things like that. Please clean and treat those hot spots before they come blisters on your feet. That is our number one injury. Cooking equipment. So you'll need to bring a small backpacking stove. 1 to 3 scouts can share a stove, and we recommend a small canister stove like the MSR Pocket Rocket, or even a Jetboil will work just fine. You'll need a backpacking pot, somewhere around 1 liter of capacity. So no need for a whole cook set. Everybody needs their own mess kit, which includes a bowl, cup, and a fork or spork. Again, go light and compact here. So those like collapsible silicone bowls are great for saving space, or you can just use Tupperware as a budget option. You also want some hand sanitizer, a quick dry towel is nice, and some biodegradable soap for dishes. Again, everybody doesn't need soap, but enough to share with your troop. Everybody needs to bring some kind of a bag to put your food in. This can be something simple like a string backpack. When we hand out food at Shakedown, it's just nice to have something to kind of keep your food organized within your pack. A lot of folks use like a reusable shopping bag. It works great. Some meals are a little more complex cooking wise, but for that stuff, the Summit will provide the necessary kitchen equipment. So just focus on that backpacking mess kit and stove. Water. So we will have potable water at each campsite, so you do not need to bring a filter if you don't want to. There are a few creek crossings that, some people just like to use their filters, so you are welcome to bring one, but it is not absolutely necessary. Guides will carry purification tabs in case of an emergency, but we recommend that each person has the capacity to carry 3 liters of water with them at a time. So this can be your basic Nalgene bottles that are fairly lightweight and durable. A lot of thru hikers are starting to move towards smart water style 1 liter bottles because they're cheap, fairly durable, and much lighter in weight. I personally like to bring a Camelback or Platypus style water bladder. It just makes drinking on the move a whole lot easier, and I find that I stay better hydrated that way. I do always have a couple bottles because bladders can be prone to failure. So if I'm using a bladder, I'll put it in a trash bag inside my pack to avoid soaking everything in case it leaks, which I learned the hard way. Optional equipment. So this stuff isn't strictly necessary, but you might want to have it along. Trekking poles are really a great thing to have along for relieving stress on your knees and improving stability on those steeper descents. We are going to be in some pretty rough terrain here at times. Solar-powered lantern is a popular option, so something like a Lucy light adds minimal weight but is pretty handy to have in camp. A lot of people like to have a bandana or a buff, playing cards, a digital camera, or a battery bank if you just have to have those electronics with you. Toiletries. So you gotta try to stay as clean as you can out there. We want you to have some hand sanitizer, toothpaste, and toothbrush. Prescription medications, some insect repellent, something with DEET is important to keep those ticks off, or you can use permethrin to treat your clothes. Feminine products, camp towel, foot powder and chafing cream can come in pretty handy. Moleskin we've already talked about. Some over-the-counter pain medications, a good thing to have. Wet wipes are crucial. I never go backpacking without them. Sunscreen and SPF chapstick as well. You're also going to want to bring a couple Ziploc bags to pack out any of that micro trash we generate out on the trail. Trek clothing. So the main thing to remember here is try to avoid cotton if you can. So save that for your traveling clothes. You can leave a set of clean clothes in the vehicle at base camp. So the New River Gorge is an extremely humid place. So some years we get enough rain to be considered a temperate rainforest actually. So if you wear cotton on the trail, you can expect it to be damp the whole time. You're going to want a pair of quick drying hiking pants. A lot of people like convertible pants that they can zip off at the knee. And you're also going to need a pair of shorts or swim trunks for the rafting day, and that can also kind of be used as a backup on the trail. 2 shirts, either short sleeve or long sleeve, that's your choice. And again, you want that to be moisture wicking material like polypro, dry fit, or lightweight merino wool is a good option there too. 3 to 4 pairs of moisture wicking underwear will help prevent chafing on the trail. Probably want to bring about 4 pairs of socks, again something wicking like merino wool. 2 quick drying sports bras for female participants. Rain gear, everybody needs to have at least a rain jacket. A lot of people bring rain pants as well, but that's kind of up to you. Footwear and foot care. So this is probably the most critical gear consideration for this trek. Your feet are your transportation, so put some thought into this and be prepared. A ton of options out there and differing opinions about backpacking footwear, and that's a good thing. Everybody's feet are different, so what works for one person may not work well for the next. Ultralight thru hikers on the AT might go with lightweight trail runners, while someone doing an off-trail expedition in the Rockies might need heavy-duty mountaineering boots. Try on as many pairs of hiking boots as you can and find out what feels best for your feet. So keep in mind that day hiking versus hiking with a loaded pack might change how much support you need from your boots. So once you pick a set of boots, break them in. Many backpacking trips have been ruined by using brand new boots. So to break them in, start out with short hikes or walks around the neighborhood and work your way up to longer excursions with a weighted pack. By the time you're doing, like an overnight preparation backpacking trip, your boots should be comfortable and not giving you any hot spots. So you also need a pair of camp or river shoes. This is a multi-sport trek, so you want your camp shoes to double as river shoes. So, things like Keens, Chacos, Tevas are all great options. Crocs or flip-flops, those are great for camp, but not for this trek. So Crocs and flip-flops are not appropriate for whitewater. So we need you to have something that's going to stay on your feet while you're out there on that river portion of the trek. So I highly recommend a good pair of river sandals for that. So more on foot care. Blisters are the most common injuries encountered on this experience. The old adage of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is very fitting here. Well-fitting and properly broken-in footwear is going to prevent most of these issues. Make sure you trim your toenails well and take care of any ingrown nails well before you arrive. Keep your feet clean and change your socks as often as necessary. Even with good preparation, you still might start to develop a hot spot on the trail, especially if you're not used to putting a lot of miles in with a weighted pack. Take care of this as soon as you feel it. So, the longer you wait, the bigger the issue will become. It's okay to stop the group and take care of your feet. They're gonna thank you later because you won't have as much of an issue and you'll be able to keep moving with the group. So this is something you should know how to do before you arrive at the summit. So don't wait and try to figure out how to properly apply moleskin once you already have a blister. Physical preparation. So this is going to make or break the trek for you. Backpacking requires a mixture of strength, balance, and endurance. You need to increase strength in those major muscle groups that do the heavy lifting, but also work on those stabilizer muscles for balance. So take your preparation hike seriously. Getting into shape while you break in your boots is the best thing you can do to be prepared for this trek. We've got a link here for some expert advice on backpack-focused exercises, and just do not forget your cardio. I'm guilty of this as well. It's a lot more fun to check out cool new gear as you get ready for a trek, but really a little bit of extra time in the gym or on the trail is way more important than figuring out exactly which backpack to bring. What about bears? This is a question we get frequently. Bears are common here in West Virginia, but there are steps we can take to make sure the summit is safe for both bears and humans. While out on trek, we found that metal bear boxes are a better option for us than hanging food from trees. So we're not going to be doing any bear hangs, except maybe for practice, just so you can learn how to do it. The key is keeping a clean camp. That being said, we haven't really had a problem with bears at our backcountry campsites. We do a pretty good job of making sure those are clean. It's more of an issue at the Summit Center campgrounds. Unfortunately, past campers have been less than responsible with food and trash, which has led to some bears becoming habituated to human food. So remember, a fed bear is a dead bear. Seeing a black bear out in the wild is a highlight for many of our visitors. Just remember to be responsible and do not approach them. So here's a couple photos that our head ranger Pete took out here at the summit. Hopefully you get to see a bear from a nice, comfortable distance while you're here. So just to recap, make sure everyone has access to the planning guides. Schedule your CPR wilderness first aid training if you haven't already done so. Get your physicals and take care of your health and medical records. And last but certainly not least, make a plan for physical preparation and get started now. We'll go ahead and cover some FAQs. A lot of people ask about the Whitewater Rafting Day. So how that works is you'll be picked up from your last backcountry campsite and shuttled down to the put-in for the Lower New River Gorge in the New River Gorge National Park. You'll raft 9 miles and you'll run rapids from Class 1 to Class 4. This is one of the best rafting sections in the country. You're going to be looking at, 22 rapids or Class 3 or above. So it's a fantastic trip. It finishes up underneath the New River Gorge Bridge. The only 3 things to bring with you are sunscreen, a water bottle, and any medications you might need. So you're just going to leave all your backpacking gear in the van, and then our backpack guides are going to take that back to base camp for you. So just bring those 3 items. I would recommend a locking carabiner for your water bottle. Those guides are not going to let you bring a non-locking carabiner on the boat. They present a safety hazard. You could become kind of clipped to both the boat and you on that non-locking carabiner, so don't bring those. I like to wear a hat under my helmet, and I also like to have sunglasses with a retaining strap. Rafting photos will be available from a third-party company called Whitewater Photography. They set up at the biggest rapids and take action shots and get some close-ups of your group. They're free to look at, a little bit more to take home with you. You can follow the link here to see the work that they do. Those photographers are not rooting for you. The worse you are at paddling, the more photos they tend to sell. Cell phones, please do not bring your phone along on rafting day. Your river guide just is not going to have enough room in his or her dry box for everybody's phone. So, if maybe 1 or 2 people in the group want to bring one, that's okay. But, again, if it's going to break your heart or your wallet to lose it, don't bring it on the river. Showers, those are not available at the campsites while out on trek. So you will have access to showers while you're at the summit main site, but not in the backcountry. If that's a deal breaker for you, you can bring a solar shower with you, but I recommend wet wipes. All right, that wraps it up. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will have a live webinar April 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we are just really looking forward to seeing everybody.